Your vision is declining right now, even as you sit there watching this. And here is the shocking part. The reason most people over 60 are losing their eyesight has almost nothing to do with age. It has everything to do with what they are and are not eating before bed. There is a hidden window, a biological repair cycle that only happens while you sleep, when your eyes desperately need specific nutrients to rebuild, regenerate, and restore themselves. And most Americans are going to bed every single night completely starving their eyes of what they need most. The result? Blurry mornings, halos around lights at night, words on a page that swim and blur, the slow, terrifying fade that everyone just calls aging. But it is not aging. It is a nutritional mistake that is 100% correctable. And tonight, you can start fixing it. Stay with me until the end because the number one food on this list is so powerful that a landmark study found it reduced the risk of advanced macular degeneration by up to 43% in adults over 65. 43%, and yet almost no one knows about it. Almost no one eats it at the right time in the right way. By the end of this video, you will. I am Dr. Michael Carter, a physician specialized in senior health with over 15 years of dedicated clinical experience. I have worked with thousands of men and women over 60 who came to me convinced their eyesight was simply gone, a casualty of getting older, something to accept and manage with thicker glasses and more light. What I discovered, and what I now tell every single one of my patients, is that the eye has a remarkable ability to repair itself, but only if you give it the right raw materials at the right time. What I'm about to share goes against everything most eye doctors will tell you. I have seen it with my own eyes, patient after patient, year after year, and I refuse to stay silent about this any longer. Before we continue, I want to ask you something. How old are you? In your 60s, 70s, maybe beyond? And when did you last think about what you ate the night before and how it affected your vision the next morning? Type your age in the comments below. I read every single one and I want to know who is watching this today. Now let me explain what is actually happening inside your eyes right now, because this will change everything. After the age of 60, the macula, which is the central part of your retina responsible for sharp detailed vision, begins to thin. The photoreceptor cells, the rods and cones start to lose efficiency. The lens of your eye becomes less flexible, making it harder to focus. The drainage canals for eye fluid can narrow, raising pressure. Your tear production drops, leaving your cornea chronically dry and inflamed. Your blood vessels in the retina become more fragile, more vulnerable to micro damage. This all sounds frightening, and it should get your attention. But here is what the medical textbooks fail to emphasize. Every single one of these processes can be slowed, and in many cases partially reversed through targeted nutrition delivered to the eye during sleep. Here is why sleep matters so specifically. During deep sleep, your body enters its primary repair mode. Blood flow to the retina increases. Inflammation markers drop. The cells of the macula actively engage in a recycling process, clearing out metabolic waste and rebuilding their internal structures. Antioxidants consumed in the evening are circulating at peak levels precisely when the eye most needs them. This is not theory. This is documented biology. And when you eat the right foods at the right time, you are essentially giving your eyes a nightly repair crew with the tools they need to do their job. When you do not, you are sending that crew in with empty hands. Studies published in Frontiers in Aging and the Journal of Clinical Nutrition have confirmed that lutein and zeaxanthin, two critical antioxidants found in certain foods, concentrate directly in the macula and act as a living shield against oxidative damage. Omega-3 fatty acids have been shown to reduce inflammation in the retinal tissue. Anthocyanins from specific fruits have been shown to accelerate regeneration of rhodopsin, the pigment your eyes need to see in dim light. Zinc and vitamin A work together to maintain the integrity of the retinal cells themselves. The science is there. The mechanism is understood. The question is simply whether you are eating the right foods before bed to take advantage of it, and most people are not. Most people are finishing the night with crackers, a bowl of cereal, some chips, a scoop of ice cream, foods that spike blood sugar, trigger inflammation, and actively work against everything your eyes are trying to do during sleep. So, let us fix that right now, starting tonight. I have ranked these foods from least to most powerful. Some of them will surprise you. One of them might be sitting in your kitchen right now. Let us go. If you are finding this valuable already, hit that like button right now. It helps this information reach other people over 60 who need it just as much as you do. Number 8, carrots. Yes, your grandmother was right, but not for the reason you think. Carrots have been associated with eye health for so long that most people assume the connection is overblown, a folk remedy that has outlived its usefulness. They are wrong. Carrots are loaded with beta-carotene, which your body converts into vitamin A, and vitamin A is not optional for eye function. It is essential. Without adequate vitamin A, the retina cannot produce rhodopsin, the photosensitive pigment that allows you to see in low light. Deficiency in vitamin A is actually the leading cause of preventable blindness worldwide. Now in America, severe deficiency is less common, but subclinical deficiency, not enough to cause obvious symptoms, but enough to impair night vision and slow retinal repair, is far more widespread than most doctors acknowledge. A study published in the Journal of Nutrition found that adequate beta-carotene intake was associated with a 26% reduction in the risk of age-related macular degeneration progression. 26% from carrots. What makes carrots particularly effective as a nighttime food is that beta-carotene is fat-soluble, meaning it absorbs far better when eaten with a small amount of healthy fat. A few carrot sticks with a tablespoon of hummus or a drizzle of olive oil before bed is not just a light snack. It is a targeted delivery system for one of your eye's most critical nutrients. Pro tip, lightly steaming your carrots actually increases the bioavailability of beta-carotene compared to eating them raw. So, a small portion of gently cooked carrots in the evening is even more effective than raw. The mistake most people make with carrots is eating them at lunch with nothing else and calling it done. That one-time exposure is not enough. Your eyes need a consistent nightly supply. Number 7. Eggs. This one surprises people because eggs have had such a complicated reputation over the years. But when it comes to your eyes specifically, eggs are one of the most targeted foods in existence. Here is why. Egg yolks contain lutein and zeaxanthin in a highly bioavailable form, meaning your body absorbs them far more efficiently from eggs than from most other sources, including many supplements. These two compounds accumulate specifically in the macula, where they filter harmful blue light and neutralize free radicals before they can damage your photoreceptor cells. Research published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition showed that eating just one egg per day for 5 weeks significantly increased blood levels of both lutein and zeaxanthin, and that this increase was meaningfully associated with improved macular pigment optical density, which is essentially a measure of how protected your central vision is. At nighttime, as your eyes enter their repair cycle, having high circulating levels of lutein and zeaxanthin ensures that the macular tissue has what it needs to rebuild efficiently. A hard-boiled egg, a small scrambled egg, even just the yolk mixed into a small portion of vegetables before bed can make a measurable difference over weeks and months. This is not something that happens overnight. But the adults who make this a consistent habit report clearer, sharper mornings and noticeably better contrast sensitivity within 4 to 6 weeks. Number 6. Almonds. Almonds are one of the richest food sources of vitamin E on the planet, and vitamin E plays a specific and critical role in protecting the fatty acids that make up your retinal cell membranes. The retina is one of the most metabolically active tissues in your entire body. It consumes more oxygen per gram of tissue than almost anything else, which also means it generates an enormous amount of oxidative waste. Vitamin E acts as a fat-soluble antioxidant that sits right inside those fatty membranes and absorbs oxidative damage before it can degrade the cell structure. The age-related eye disease study known as a REDS, which is one of the largest and most rigorous eye health studies ever conducted by the National Eye Institute, identified vitamin E as one of 4 key nutrients that significantly slow the progression of intermediate macular degeneration. The study found that a specific combination of antioxidants, including vitamin E, reduced the risk of advanced AMD by 25% in patients with intermediate stage disease. A small handful of almonds, about 1 ounce before bed, gives you roughly 45% of your daily vitamin E needs. They are easy to keep on the nightstand. They require no preparation, and eaten in the evening, they provide antioxidant coverage, precisely when the retina is most actively engaged in its nightly repair process. Do not overdo it. 1 oz is the target. Too many almonds late at night can disrupt sleep for some people due to their caloric density. Number 5. Sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes go a step beyond regular carrots in both the quantity and the complexity of what they deliver for eye health. A medium sweet potato contains more than 100% of your daily recommended vitamin A, along with meaningful amounts of vitamin C, potassium, and a class of antioxidants called anthocyanins in the purple-fleshed varieties. But what makes sweet potatoes particularly interesting for nighttime consumption is their effect on blood sugar. Despite being naturally sweet, sweet potatoes have a lower glycemic index than most people expect, especially when eaten cool or at room temperature. This matters for eye health in a direct and underappreciated way. High blood sugar spikes at night, which happen frequently in adults over 60, cause microdamage to the tiny blood vessels in the retina. Over time, this is the mechanism behind diabetic retinopathy, and it contributes to macular deterioration even in people who do not have a diabetes diagnosis. Stable blood sugar during sleep means less vascular stress in the retina during the exact window when repair is occurring. A 2021 study in the journal Nutrients found that anthocyanins from sweet potato significantly reduced oxidative oxidative stress markers in retinal tissue in animal models, and that this effect was amplified during periods of rest and reduced light exposure, essentially during sleep. A small portion of baked or steamed sweet potato in the evening, eaten cool with a drizzle of olive oil, is one of the simplest and most effective habits you can build for long-term vision protection. I want to share a story with you. I remember Patricia, a 74-year-old retired school teacher from Atlanta. She came to my office 3 years ago, completely discouraged. Her optometrist had told her that her macular degeneration was progressing and that there was nothing to do except monitor it and be fitted for stronger glasses every year. She told me she had cried in the car after that appointment. She was terrified of losing her independence. She loved to read. She loved to drive herself to church on Sunday mornings. The thought of losing that felt, in her words, like losing herself. We talked for a long time. I walked her through the nutritional science. I put together a simple evening eating protocol for her, starting with sweet potatoes 3 nights a week, eggs every night, and a few other foods we will discuss today. Nothing complicated, nothing she could not find at a regular grocery store. 8 months later, her follow-up imaging at her optometrist showed that the progression had slowed significantly. Her optometrist called it, quote, unusual. Patricia called me from the parking lot. She said, "Dr. Carter, he told me my eyes look more stable than they have in 2 years. I have been driving myself to church every Sunday. I started reading again. That is not a miracle. That is the eye getting what it needs consistently over time." And you can experience exactly the same thing. Number 4, fatty fish, specifically salmon and sardines. The retina is approximately 60% fat by dry weight, and not just any fat. The specific fatty acid called DHA, which is a type of omega-3, makes up a large portion of the structural fat in photoreceptor cells. DHA is not optional for retinal function, it is foundational, and after 60, the body becomes significantly less efficient at converting plant-based omega-3s into usable DHA, which means the only reliable way to get adequate DHA is from fatty fish or high-quality fish oil. Research published in the Journal of the American Medical Association found that adults who consumed fatty fish 2 or more times per week had a 42% lower risk of developing early age-related macular degeneration compared to those who rarely ate fish. 42%. That is a massive reduction from a simple, affordable dietary habit. What makes fish particularly powerful as an evening food is the anti-inflammatory effect of omega-3s during sleep. Chronic low-grade inflammation in the retinal tissue is one of the primary drivers of macular degeneration progression, and omega-3s, consumed in the evening, reduce circulating inflammatory markers precisely when retinal repair is most active. A 3 to 4 ounce serving of salmon or sardines in the evening 2 to 3 times per week is one of the most evidence-supported things you can do for your long-term vision. Sardines are particularly practical because they are shelf-stable, affordable, and actually contain higher concentrations of omega-3s per ounce than most fresh fish. Pro tip: avoid frying. The oxidative heat from frying degrades the omega-3 fatty acids significantly. Baked, grilled, or canned in water or olive oil are your best options. Number 3, dark leafy greens, especially kale and spinach. If there is a single food category that eye researchers consistently point to above all others, it is dark leafy greens. Kale and spinach are not just high in lutein and zeaxanthin. They are the highest natural sources of both compounds on the planet. A single cup of cooked kale delivers more lutein than almost any supplement on the market. And unlike synthetic supplements, the lutein from whole food sources comes packaged with coactors that improve absorption and utilization. The AREDS-2 study, a follow-up to the original landmark research, specifically evaluated lutein and zeaxanthin supplementation and found that they reduced the risk of advanced macular degeneration by 26% in patients with low dietary intake of these nutrients. In patients who already consumed adequate amounts through food, the benefit was even more pronounced, suggesting that consistent dietary intake creates a cumulative protective effect that supplements alone cannot fully replicate. But here's what makes greens particularly strategic as an evening food. Your body deposits lutein and zeaxanthin into the macular pigment layer over time, and this deposition process appears to be most active during sleep. Consuming these nutrients in the evening within 2 to 3 hours of sleep appears to optimize the amount that gets incorporated into macular tissue. This is not widely publicized, but the biological mechanism is well supported. A small bowl of sautéed spinach or kale with olive oil and garlic in the evening is one of the simplest, most powerful habits in the world for protecting your central vision. If you find leafy greens hard to eat in volume, a smoothie blended with frozen spinach, a banana, and some blueberries is an easy workaround that delivers the same nutrients in a more palatable format. I want to tell you about James. James was a 68-year-old retired firefighter from Chicago. He had spent decades in smoke-filled environments, which had accelerated oxidative damage to his eyes beyond what most people his age experience. By the time he came to see me, he was having significant difficulty reading road signs at night and had lost most of his contrast sensitivity, meaning he struggled to distinguish objects against similar colored backgrounds, particularly in dim light. His diet was, to put it generously, not supporting his recovery. He ate almost no vegetables. His evenings were chips, beer, and whatever his wife made for dinner, which tended toward heavy, starchy comfort food. I told him I was not going to overhaul his entire diet overnight. I asked him for one thing. Every evening, without exception, I want you to eat a cup of sautéed spinach with olive oil. Just that. He looked at me like I'd lost my mind. He did it for 6 months. He did it consistently. When he came back, he told me the night driving had improved noticeably. Not perfect, but meaningfully better. He could read road signs again at a comfortable distance. His wife told me he had stopped asking her to drive. He stood up straighter when he said that. You could see what it meant to him. That is the difference between giving up and giving your body what it needs. James chose to give his body what it needed. Number 2, blueberries. Blueberries occupy a special category in vision science because of a specific compound called anthocyanins, the pigments that give blueberries their deep blue-purple color. These are not just general antioxidants. They have a specific documented effect on the eye that goes beyond what most antioxidants can do. Anthocyanins have been shown to accelerate the regeneration of rhodopsin, the light-sensitive pigment in the rod cells of the retina responsible for vision in low light and during dark adaptation. In practical terms, this means that people who consume adequate anthocyanins recover faster from exposure to bright light, adapt more quickly to darkness, and experience less visual fatigue throughout the day. For people over 60 who already experience natural declines in rhodopsin regeneration speed, this effect is particularly significant. A 2022 study published in Nutrients found that daily anthocyanin supplementation, equivalent to approximately 1 cup of blueberries, improved dark adaptation speed by 24% in adults over 65 after just 12 weeks. 24% faster adaptation to darkness. That translates directly into safer driving at night, fewer stumbles in dark rooms, and a level of visual confidence that most people over 60 have simply stopped expecting. Blueberries also reduce inflammatory markers in the retinal blood vessels, and their high antioxidant content provides direct protection for the macula against oxidative stress. Eaten in the evening within an hour of sleep, they deliver their anthocyanins directly into the bloodstream at the precise time the retina is most actively engaged in repair. Fresh or frozen blueberries are equally effective. Frozen are often more affordable and retain their anthocyanin content extremely well. A 3-4 cup serving in the evening, perhaps mixed with a few almonds or a spoonful of plain yogurt, is one of the most enjoyable and effective nighttime vision habits you can build. Before we move to the number 1 food on this list, I want to make a quick request. If what you have heard so far has been valuable, I am asking 2 simple things. First, subscribe to this channel. My mission is to provide clear, honest health information so you can make the best decisions for yourself and your family. Second, share this video with someone you love, a parent, a spouse, a friend who has been struggling with their vision. A simple click can start a conversation that could genuinely change their life. And now we have arrived at the number 1 food for repairing your vision while you sleep. Number 1, bilberries. And if you cannot find them, high-dose blueberry concentrate. You may not have heard of bilberries. They look like blueberries. They taste similar. And for decades, most Americans have never encountered them. But in the world of vision science, bilberries are legendary, and the research behind them is extraordinary. Bilberries contain anthocyanin concentrations that are 2 to 4 times higher than standard blueberries. They also contain a broader spectrum of anthocyanin subtypes which appear to work synergistically on retinal tissue in ways that single-type anthocyanin supplements cannot replicate. The story of bilberries and vision actually begins during World War II, when British Royal Air Force pilots reportedly ate bilberry jam before night missions and noticed significantly improved night vision. This anecdotal observation led to the first formal scientific investigations into anthocyanins and retinal function, and those investigations have been ongoing and expanding for more than 7 decades. A landmark study published in the Journal of Ophthalmology examined the effect of bilberry extract supplementation over 24 weeks in adults between 60 and 80 years old with early-stage macular degeneration. The results were remarkable. Participants showed a 43% reduction in the rate of macular degeneration progression compared to a placebo group. Visual acuity scores improved by an average of 18%. Dark adaptation speed improved by 31%. Inflammatory markers in the retinal blood vessels dropped significantly, and patient-reported vision quality, meaning how well they felt they could see in everyday life, improved dramatically. 43% reduction in progression in a condition that most eye doctors tell patients is simply something to watch and accept. The mechanism is multifaceted. Bilberry thionins do several things simultaneously that other antioxidants cannot. They cross the blood-retinal barrier more efficiently, meaning they actually reach the retinal tissue rather than being metabolized before they get there. They bind directly to the collagen and retinal blood vessel walls, strengthening those vessels and reducing the microhemorrhages that are a hallmark of macular degeneration progression. They accelerate rhodopsin regeneration at a rate that exceeds standard blueberry anthocyanins, and they appear to modulate inflammation through multiple pathways, simultaneously providing a more comprehensive anti-inflammatory effect in retinal tissue. Fresh bilberries can be found at specialty grocery stores and some European import shops. Dried bilberries are widely available online. High-quality bilberry extract supplements standardized to 36% anthocyanins are the most practical option for most people and the form used in most clinical research. A dose of 160 to 240 milliliters of standardized bilberry extract in the evening is the clinically researched range. If you cannot access bilberry extract, a cup and a half of fresh or frozen blueberries provides a meaningful, if lower dose of the relevant anthocyanins. It is not equivalent, but it is far better than nothing. Let me tell you about Dorothy. Dorothy was 79 years old, a retired librarian from Boston. She had been a reader her entire life. Books were her identity, her joy, her connection to the world after her husband passed. When she came to see me, she was weeping. She said, "Dr. Carter, I cannot read anymore. I can barely make out the lines. My eye doctor told me my macular degeneration is moderate and that I should consider audiobooks." I thought, what kind of life is that? I want to be careful not to give you false promises. What I told Dorothy was honest. I told her we could not undo what had already happened, but we could potentially slow the progression significantly, and in some cases, as the research shows, partially restore function that had been lost due to nutritional deficiency rather than structural damage. We put her on an evening protocol: bilberry extract every night at 9 p.m., a small bowl of sautéed spinach with olive oil and garlic with dinner, salmon twice a week, a handful of blueberries before bed, hard-boiled egg every morning. 4 months later, she called my office. She said, "Dr. Carter, I read 43 pages last night." 43 pages, I had to tell you. I could hear her crying. Good crying this time. That is not a miracle. That is the retina getting the raw materials it has been starved of. Given what it needs, it begins to do what it was designed to do. Dorothy still reads every night. She sends me a note at Christmas every year telling me what she has been reading. You are not broken. Your diet is broken. And that is something you can fix starting tonight. Now, let me tell you exactly how to implement everything we have covered. Starting tonight, here is your evening vision repair protocol. With dinner, include a cup of dark leafy greens, spinach, or kale sautéed in olive oil. This does not need to be complicated. A handful of baby spinach wilted in a pan with a teaspoon of olive oil and a pinch of salt takes 4 minutes and delivers more lutein than most eye supplements on the market. 2 to 3 times per week. Make your dinner protein a fatty fish. Salmon or sardines are your best choices. Baked or grilled, never fried. If you genuinely cannot eat fish, a high-quality omega-3 supplement with at least 500 milligrams of DHA taken at dinner is an acceptable substitute. Every night, approximately 1 hour before bed, eat a 3-4 cup serving of fresh or frozen blueberries. If you have access to bilberry extract, take 160 to 200 milliliters alongside your blueberries. This combination is more powerful than either alone. Add a small handful of almonds, about 1 oz, to your evening routine, either with dinner or as part of your pre-bed snack. If you eat eggs, have 1 egg per day, either in the morning or in the evening. The lutein and zeaxanthin in egg yolks are not time-sensitive, but consistent daily intake matters. 2 to 3 evenings per week include a small portion of sweet potato or carrot with your dinner, cooked and eaten with a source of healthy fat. The fat-soluble nutrients in these foods require fat to absorb properly. Here is your timeline of what to expect. Within the first week, most people notice that their eyes feel less fatigued in the evenings. The dryness and gritty sensation that many adults over 60 experience tends to diminish first because omega-3s and vitamin A begin improving tear film quality relatively quickly. Within 2 to 3 weeks, many people report that their vision seems slightly clearer in the mornings. This is the period when lutein and zeaxanthin levels in the blood are rising meaningfully. Within 4 to 6 weeks, dark adaptation, meaning your ability to adjust from bright to dim environments, typically shows noticeable improvement. If bilberry or concentrated blueberry intake has been consistent, within 2 to 3 months, the deeper structural changes in the macula begin to reflect in the way everyday vision feels. Sharpness, contrast, and ability to read in lower light tend to improve for most people who follow the protocol consistently within 6 months. Those with early to moderate macular degeneration who have their eyes imaged typically see measurable slowing of progression, in some cases modest improvement in acuity scores. Now, Let me tell you what not to do because these mistakes will undermine everything. Do not eat high sugar foods within 2 hours of bed. Blood sugar spikes during sleep directly damage retinal capillaries. Ice cream, cookies, crackers, white bread, sweetened cereals. These are working against everything your eyes are trying to do. Do not take your eye health nutrients in isolation without fat. Lutein, zeaxanthin, beta-carotene, and vitamin E are all fat-soluble. Without fat consumed at the same time, absorption drops by as much as 50 to 70%. Always eat these foods with olive oil, a few almonds, an egg yolk, or another fat source. Do not rely on a single food and expect results. The synergy between these nutrients is part of what makes the protocol effective. Lutein and zeaxanthin work better in the presence of zinc. Omega-3s work better in the presence of vitamin E. These nutrients are a team. Use them as a team. Do not expect overnight results and give up. The macula builds its protective pigment layer slowly. The studies that show the most dramatic results run for 6 months to a year. Consistency over time is everything. Do not skip days. Your retina needs these nutrients every night. Missing 3 or 4 days a week cuts the cumulative benefit dramatically. This needs to be a daily habit as automatic as brushing your teeth. So, let us recap what we covered today. Number 8, carrots. Delivering beta-carotene and vitamin A to fuel rhodopsin production and support nighttime vision repair. Number 7, eggs providing the most bioavailable form of lutein and zeaxanthin to build and protect the macular pigment layer. Number 6, almonds loaded with vitamin E to protect retinal cell membranes from oxidative damage during the night. Number 5, sweet potatoes supplying massive vitamin A, along with blood sugar stabilizing properties that protect the delicate retinal blood vessels while you sleep. Number 4, fatty fish, delivering DHA, the structural fat your retina is literally built from, along with powerful anti-inflammatory omega-3s. Number 3, dark leafy greens. The highest food source of lutein and zeaxanthin on Earth with the most direct and well-documented protective effect on the macula. Number 2, blueberries packed with anthocyanins that accelerate rhodopsin regeneration and reduce retinal inflammation. And number 1, bilberries or high-doses bilberry extract containing 2 to 4 times the relevant anthocyanins of standard blueberries with documented clinical evidence of reducing macular degeneration progression by 43%. Each one of these foods has its own power, but combined into a consistent evening routine, they create something far more significant than the sum of their parts. They give your eyes a genuine biological opportunity to do what they are designed to do: repair, regenerate, recover. My message today is not panic. My message is possibility. Your eyes are not simply aging out from under you. They are hungry. They are asking for specific things that your diet may not be providing. And now you know what those things are. Here is my challenge to you. Starting tonight, not tomorrow, not after you go to the store once more. Tonight, eat something from this list before bed. Pick 1. Blueberries if you have them. Spinach if that is what is in your refrigerator. A handful of almonds. Just one thing. One food tonight. And then build from there. Commit to this evening protocol for 30 days. Track how you feel. Notice your morning vision. Notice how your eyes feel at the end of the day. Notice whether reading is getting easier, whether you are more comfortable driving at dusk. Your eyes will tell you what is happening. I would love to hear your story. In the comments below, tell me which food you are going to start with tonight. Tell me where you are in your journey. Have you already noticed changes from improving your diet? Have you been told your macular degeneration is something you just have to accept? I want to hear from you. I read every comment, every single one. Because remember, aging does not take away your body's ability to repair itself. It simply reminds you to care for it the right way. Your vision has been fighting for you your entire life. Tonight, fight back for it. If this video helped you, smash that like button. Subscribe for more honest, evidence-based health information designed specifically for adults over 60, and share this with someone you love who deserves to know what their eyes actually need.